Hey everybody, Jeremy from Follow Me Leadership, and I want to talk to you today about the open door policy concept. You really got to ask yourself as a manager, is it truly an open door policy, or do you just like to tell everyone that you have an open door and everybody's welcome to come and vent or whatever? I think this term is thrown around so much, and it's often at times abused. It really doesn't always mean what we think it means as staff members. So you as a manager have to take a hard look at when you're going to say you have an open door policy. What does that really mean? And I think the other important thing is, what would your staff say about your open door policy? Do they think it's legit? So if you're going to have this open door policy, it really comes down to two things: accessibility and engagement. For accessibility, are you even around? If you want to tell everyone that you have an open door policy, except they can never find you, or you're always on the phone or always in a meeting, and you're really not an accessible person, then the open door policy doesn't exist. It may sound good on paper, it may sound good when you tell everybody you have this, but you have to be there. Maybe even set aside a time on your calendar and say, hey everybody, every afternoon between 3 and 4, that's my time. If you have something you need to discuss or whatever, that's when you come find me. And the engagement, you've got to have some positive engagement. People are going to come in, they might not have a real agenda, they might just want to vent. You need to decide what your time is worth, what their time is worth, and understand that, even sometimes, if they think it's a positive thing and you don't, you just need to find the kind of the shine in every bit of roughness. And please don't be that person that answers every question with a bounce back question. So if staff member comes in and asks you, hey, I really am having a hard time trying to figure out, the answer to this, and I don't know where to look for it. Don't look at that person in the face and say, well, where do you think you should start looking? Or what do you think the answer is? I always hate when people do that. It's pretentious, it's elitist. If I'm not saying you just give out all the answers to people, because then you become Google. But there's a better way to sell that. Nobody wants to be talked to like that, and just say, okay, all right, well, here's what I would do first. Here's how I'd go find that information. Have you tried any of those steps? That's a nicer way of approaching that, instead of just being that, that jerk off that thinks they're so smart and everything, and they're looking down on you. The other thing is, I think you really want to look at this as having a true open door policy, even if, you think their engagement might be a little bit of a waste of time. It's the number one tool you have to truly understand your staff and who they are as a person and what they want to do in their lives and careers. Those are the moments, those conversations like that, whether they're done on the road, in the car, or just on the phone, maybe they're calling remotely, or if you're actually in the office environment and they walk into your office and want to talk. Those are the best ways to understand your people. And again, it all goes back to your number one priority is to try to elevate your staff and help them achieve their goals. If you don't have a good, solid open door policy, you'll never be able to really understand what your people are trying to do in their careers. The other way to look at this is you want to encourage the engagement and make it a two-way conversation. You're not just a sounding board for them to come in and bounce ideas off and then they go about their merry way. They could have done that with a coworker. Obviously, if they're struggling with something or having a problem, those are going to be more obvious, but maybe they're trying to figure out more about you. I know at times I used to reach out to not only my manager, but different, people in different areas of marketing or in technical or wherever. In the military, I did that all the time. I would talk to people in operations and intelligence and logistics or whatever in a more of a managerial role, just to understand, hey, how do I exist in your world a little better? So you got to have a two-way discussion. Again, they're asking questions, don't just throw questions back at them. Give some answers, but ask for some feedback. Ask some questions. And create a real dialogue. I think that's it. Again, it's the number one way to understand your people, and it's also a really perfect way for them to help understand who you are as a manager and what you want. And lastly, this is also a perfect way to try to take care of issues that arise up in the workplace, or implement new things. You want everybody's buy-in by kind of presenting things like this to them and asking for their engagement, asking for their opinions. Suddenly, everybody feels like they're part of this change or part of this new thing that they're doing if you're coming to them and saying, hey, let me bounce this off you and see what you think. You'd be surprised at what that does for people's self-esteem and their motivation in the workplace. I know I want to work harder for my manager when he actually cares about what I think about something. Hey, I hope that helps. If you have any questions or comments about that, please shoot me an email or DM me on Instagram. And if I can be of any other help to you, please let me know. Check out all my videos on YouTube. A lot of good information on there, and follow me on Facebook, and you can get all my podcasts on Anchor. Take care, everybody.